There are thousands of careers in California, but how are we supposed to know which is the right career for us? If we're to spend 40 to 50 hours a week, over 10,000 hours a year, we're going to want to choose a career that we're best at and one that we love. And with the average American changing their jobs up to 7 times during their lifetime, finding the right career as soon as possible will contribute to better health and help you live a richer and fuller life. The right career is out there waiting for you, and I'm going to help you find it. I'm Freddy Cochran. Welcome to California Careers. Welcome to another edition of California Careers. I'm Freddy Cochran, your host. We're in Hermosa Beach, California with Fire Chief David Lancer. Hello, David.
Hello.
Thank you for taking the time out to join us today. We appreciate that.
Not a problem.
We're here today to teach you guys the career of fireman. What a cool career. David, now a fireman, I think, has other jobs or other roles other than just the practice of putting out fires. Can we touch on the firefighters' roles?
Well, in general, the fire service and firefighters, our first priority is to prevent fires. And we do that through fire inspections, public education. Another area where a big part of our emergency responses is in the field of emergency medicine. And so all but one of our firefighters here in Hermosa Beach are paramedics.
Okay.
Because emergency medicine is so important, we strive hard to have almost all of our personnel certified and trained as paramedics.
Oh, very cool. So a firefighter in the city of Hermosa Beach is not just a firefighter, they're also the people that are driving the ambulances and are going to medical types of situations?
That's correct. We describe it as an all hazards, full service fire department. Mm-hmm. All hazards meaning emergency medicine, hazardous materials responses, fires, and then we do also the non-emergency public education, fire investigation, fire prevention inspections, all of that. So that's why we consider ourselves an all-risk, full-service fire department.
Wow, very cool. The firefighters here in Hermosa are also responsible for the fire. They check businesses for different potential hazards at the businesses. Can you touch on that for us?
Yes, each business in the city is subject to an annual fire inspection, and the purpose of that is to make sure that each business is maintaining their fire safety in their business as per the fire code and the life safety code. And so we go out at least annually. We have trouble sometimes hitting everybody, getting out to all of our businesses, but we strive to get to everyone annually. Some of our businesses require a more detailed inspection, and we call that a pre-incident inspection. And those are businesses where they have special hazards, such as they have hazardous processes, such as auto shop, where they have petroleum products, hazardous materials, or a restaurant that has a large number of people that will be in the restaurant at a certain time, or in different times. And it's more than 50. They have more than 50 people in a restaurant. Those require special inspections because there's a higher chance of someone being injured or hurt or a fire breaking out, either because of a hazardous process or materials, or because there's just a lot of people that normally would be visiting that type of business.
So as a rule, Hermosa Beach Fire Department goes to every business annually and makes sure that they can pass inspection.
Yes, and additionally, we also inspect all of our apartment complexes of 10 units or more.
Okay.
Again, the purpose of that is we go back to a large number of people in a single place, so it has a higher potential to have problems there.
Okay.
So that's why we do the apartment complexes as well.
Give us an example. What are you looking for, let's say, in an apartment complex? Are you looking for the smoke detectors, or what exactly are we looking for?
Well, we look for exits, smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, those types of things. Our limitation when it comes to apartment complexes is that we can inspect the common areas.
Okay.
Because of constitutional protections, we cannot demand and expect to be allowed into each unit.
I see.
However, what apartment complexes do is that management will have in their lease typically a provision where it allows management to go in and check that if there's an extinguisher inside the unit and smoke detectors, they're allowed to go in and check those annually. And they just schedule that ahead of time with their with their tenants.
Okay.
But we, as a public agency, can't demand to go into someone's private home.
Mm-hmm.
Businesses are different. They're a public place as far as businesses in and out, serving customers, so they are subject to a mandatory inspection annually.
Okay, and I noticed another role that the firefighters play is to investigate potential arson.
Yes.
Arson crime. Can you touch on that for us? How does that work?
Sure. We have here in the South Bay, which consists from El Segundo down through Torrance, we have a South Bay Arson Task Force team. And we have 2 fire investigators who are assigned to that team. And they work together and will respond to any of the cities in the South Bay or even outside our area to any area that might require assistance. They are specially trained. They've gone through investigations, interrogation training, weapons training.
Were they originally firefighters? Or?
They are firefighters, and they still are.
Oh, they are both. Okay,
right.
Wow.
They're firefighter paramedics who have decided to go into this branch, I would say, of the fire service, a special branch, and they are, as per California state law, they are considered peace officers because they fulfilled much of the requirements for peace officers, including the right to have a sidearm while they're doing their investigative work. And their investigative work just it's not just at the fire scene, but they follow up with interviews of potential witnesses or suspects. So they're trained to do all that type of work. Very specialized training, and it's ongoing training. Annually, they're constantly undergoing training, and the group as a whole in our area, South Bay, meets monthly just to keep up on what's going on in the field of arson investigation.
That seems like a very cool side of the firefighter that I think that not a lot of rookies would consider to go in. Is it actually called an inspector, a fire inspector?
Investigator.
Fire investigator.
Fire investigator.
Okay,
yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Very cool.
And well, that's not initially their official title. Their official title is whatever their rank is in the department.
Okay.
But the investigator, again, that's a branch that if someone wants to specialize in investigation, they can do that. That's one of the areas of the fire service where they can branch off and specialize in.
And so they would also assist the district attorney in a potential arson investigation.
They write the reports, they collect the evidence, they secure the evidence, ensure that the chain of evidence is not violated, that it's secure, so that anything that moves forward into the courtroom, that whatever has been collected can still be used.
Wow, very cool. Is the fire inspector's role, does that happen often? Does Hermosa Beach actually experience arsons occasionally, or is that sort of a rarity? Or?
We occasionally experience arson, but again, we're part of a team. So our last fire investigator investigation was in Redondo.
Oh, okay.
We sent an investigator to Redondo. In the last few months, we sent one to Torrance, I believe. So they team up at the location and
sort of brainstorm there?
Yeah, they go through the scene and document everything. And it could be, a firefighter from Hermosa teamed up with one from Redondo or from El Segundo and Torrance. So they all work together to process the scene and collect all the evidence.
Okay. Let's touch on the education of a firefighter. What education does one need to become a firefighter?
Well, technically, our requirements are high school diploma, 18 years of age. However, when we go through the hiring process, it's competitive, and we're looking for those who stand out. And those who stand out are those who have put themselves through the fire academy.
Wow.
Those who have attended junior college fire technology courses, have taken those and have done well in those. Perhaps definitely those who have at least have an EMT, which is emergency medical technician. That's a step below paramedic. Some of them have put themselves through paramedic school. So we're looking for the standouts. That doesn't mean that someone who comes in with a high school diploma without those other certifications won't be considered. They will be, but it's how many different ways can you put yourself out there that is different from the other 10, 20, or 30 applicants.
Making yourself more marketable. Let's talk about the Fire Academy for a moment. If I'm going to drop my own dime on the Fire Academy, what kind of dough am I looking to expect to spend for the Fire Academy?
Well, the Fire Academy is operated through the junior college system,
Okay.
so it's based on the per unit charge of the junior college.
Okay.
So it's mostly affordable for many young people who have part-time jobs. We have some part-time positions here that operate one of our ambulances, our EMT ambulance, and some of them every year enter into the Fire Academy. So I would say it's reasonably affordable because it is to the junior college system. So
Okay.
they're paying the junior college per unit rate.
Okay. So let's touch on the actual hiring process for the fire department.
Okay, well first, we sent out the announcement, we publicize that we have an opening, and what we'll do is we'll receive all the applications, which are due by a certain date, and then we'll check them all for completeness, that all the applicants have met whatever minimum qualifications that we have required. Those that do not, then those applications get put aside. And then the next step is we conduct a written test, written exam. And it's an exam on just writing skills, basic math skills. Does the person know how to read a map? Reasoning, those types of things.
Okay.
So we're just checking to make sure, do they have a basic level of knowledge and education. And then following that, that list gets pared down, as it inevitably does. Each of these steps, it gets smaller and smaller. So following the written, what we've done is we conduct what we call a paramedic skills exam, because we hired, last time we required firefighter paramedic, not just a firefighter. So we wanted someone who was already a paramedic.
Wow. Okay.
So we do a paramedic skills exam, and we run simulations with them, with patients with different problems, to see how they react, how they respond, how quickly they're able to deal with the situation, the simulation that we give them. And then again, the list pares down lower. We also run an interview board. We'll have 3 fire officers, captains or chief officer level, and they will interview each of the candidates who have made it up to a certain point. And then we'll do a chief's interview for the final remaining half dozen to a dozen. This depends on how many positions you have. And then once we decide, okay, this is who we want to offer the job to first, second, third, based on all these evaluations that we've done, we then put them through a background investigation. And that's very important because firefighters can do a lot of things without permission. We can, you call 911, we can go into your house without a search warrant. We can break windows, we can cut holes in roofs, we can, we do all these things and we don't need permission or search warrants or we're in people's private homes. And so we need people of the highest character who can be trusted in those situations.
If I do have, say, a misdemeanor on my record, does that exclude me from being a firefighter, or is it possible to still pursue my dream?
It does not exclude you.
Okay.
There's a couple things we'll look at is what is the misdemeanor, what is the offense, and how long has it been?
Okay.
And what's the record been since?
Okay.
So the longer the time and the more minor the offense, the less impact it will have.
You touched on, let's back up for a moment. You touched on the entry position, the last one for Hermosa Beach was firefighter / paramedic. What is a paramedic exactly?
Well, paramedics are essentially doctors out in the field, out in the streets. They are specially trained emergency medicine practitioners who can provide advanced medical techniques, administer medications, can do cardiac pacing, which controls the heart. We can defibrillate the heart. We're able to do EKGs, which used to only be done in the hospitals, but is done now out in the field by paramedics. It really is a doctor out in the field. We do house calls. Call 911. We do house calls, and I've had nurses tell me who've ridden along with us. They come out and ride with us sometimes and say, "I don't know how you guys take this patient in this kind of situation and bring them to it. I don't know how you do that." But I say to them, I don't know how you do what you do either.
So, right?
So it's all context, I guess. But it's a very uncontrolled atmosphere that our personnel operate in. A sad example of that is what happened near Rochester, where the firefighters went to fight that fire, and they had a sniper shoot at them.
Oh, we didn't hear about it. Let's hear the story on that.
Well, there was near Rochester a couple weeks ago, a fire department responded to a fire that the shooter set. They didn't know this at the time. They're just responding to a house fire, and they get off the engine and start pulling hose, and the suspect who started the house fire was up on a hill with a gun, and he shot 4 of them, killed 2 of them.
Oh my gosh.
2 of them ended up going in the hospital. So that's an example of the extreme part of how uncontrolled the atmosphere is that we go into all the time.
Wow. Scary.
So it's an extreme example, but we've had a situation occur here a few years ago, which we questioned. Not really sure why it happened the way it did, but it looked like there might have been someone who planned a similar type attack on our personnel.
Wow.
But it didn't work out the way he had planned.
Did they catch the first guy, the original?
The one in Rochester?
Murderer? Yeah.
He killed himself.
Oh, he killed himself. Okay. Wow. That's quite a story. So would you recommend, before applying as a firefighter, to go ahead and become, is it a licensed paramedic before going through the process of the firefighter or the application process? Or?
Yeah, it depends on where you want to work.
Okay.
Because some departments, such as ours, we look for firefighter paramedics. Some departments are, they'll bring people in as firefighters and EMTs and go that route. So it depends on what kind of department you want to work for.
Okay.
What your interests are. If you're not really interested in emergency medicine at that level, it would be hard to really apply yourself to that, and it is a very demanding course. So if you enjoy that and you want to work for a department that provides that kind of service, paramedic service, then definitely you should do that. And you have a call.
You guys have a call?
We have a call.
Oh, okay. Wow.
47-year-old male, feeling ill, 1720 Ardmore Avenue, Number 307,
This is going to go up.
20 Ardmore Avenue, Number 307.
Let's move everything over here.
Just our lock.
Actually, we can go right behind there.
Okay. Does that mean you have to go?
No, I don't have
Oh, you don't have to go. Okay.
I was going to say, they get to do the exciting, fun stuff. I get to do the paperwork.
Okay, cool. Somebody's got to be able to guard the fort.
Yeah. I don't think the union.
I would say, is that Well, we were just interrupted by a call. What just happened?
Well, we received an emergency medical call, and our paramedic ambulance and our EMT ambulance responded to the call. What will happen is once they arrive at the scene, they'll evaluate the patient, and if the patient requires a paramedic transport to the hospital, then our paramedic ambulance will do so. And if they require only an EMT transport to the hospital, then the EMT ambulance will transport them. The reason we do that, that will allow us to keep our paramedic ambulance in service for the next call, which may require paramedic service. So we try to keep that paramedic unit in the city in service as much as possible. So that's why we run an EMT ambulance with it, so the EMT ambulance can transport the non-critical patients.
Okay, so I just noticed that some of the firefighters actually jumped in to the ambulances and went with them. So is that typical?
Yes, the paramedic ambulance are firefighters. They're staffed by 2 firefighter paramedics.
Okay.
And the BLS ambulance or the EMT ambulance is staffed by reserves, or what we call ambulance operators.
Okay, and you didn't have to go?
No, I get to stay back and do all the paperwork. They get to go, do the lights and sirens.
One of the perks of being the chief.
Yeah.
Right? You guys handle the little stuff, right? You got to guard the fort. Okay, well, let's back up. We were on, I believe, the licensing requirements, going through the education. let's sort of back up. We went to junior college. We got the necessary classes. There's a job opening here in Hermosa Beach, let's say, for instance. We filled out the application. We've narrowed it down. We took the written test that you guys offer. We've been through a couple interviews. Let's say we get hired.
Okay.
What's the next process?
Well, if you've been hired, which means you've done well in all those tests and you've passed a background examination, and you've been hired, you will then be a probationary firefighter.
Okay.
And the probationary, you have 12 months, and you'll undergo some specialized training throughout that 12 months. To back up a little bit, your initial 2 weeks, we do on days. There's 40-hour-a-week days before they go on to shift work.
Okay.
So they'll work 2 weeks, work with each shift. They get orientated to the department policies, our county EMS policies, and how the requirements for coming in and out of coming on duty, off duty, whatnot. All those kind of small orientation things that they have to go through. So we get that out of the way. We do some basic skills training in that first 2 weeks, so that they can once they get on shift, they're able to function well as a team, because the team is very important in emergency scenes, on emergency scenes. So we want to make sure that they're able to do that at a certain level before we put them on shift and responding to calls.
Okay, let's say if I didn't pay for the fire academy myself, when exactly would Hermosa Beach put an applicant through the academy or a trainee through the academy?
We don't put anyone through the academy currently, right? Or send anyone to paramedic school. We're asking for those who are already trained as a firefighter and a paramedic.
Oh, good deal. Okay.
Yes. And that's why I encourage those who are really interested in the fire service. Not only does it separate you, going on your own initiative and putting yourself through the fire academy or through paramedic school, but a lot of departments, because budgets are so tight, are looking for people who already have this training, because it costs a lot of money to put people through this training.
Okay.
So you're separating yourself out from the pack, and you're also, the agency you're looking at being hired at it doesn't have to send you that training, so they save that money.
Okay. Okay, so let's say we're starting as did you say an intern?
A probationary.
Probationary firefighter. How long am I a probationary firefighter?
12 months.
For a year, okay.
Yes.
And make sure that you don't do anything stupid in that time, and maybe you can get the full-fledged.
Right, we want to make sure that everything that we found out through the evaluation process, from the exams to the interviews to the background checks, is actually gonna be that way. That's the person that we want. In 12 months, we want to make sure this is the person we want working here at our station.
That makes sense.
As I mentioned, teamwork is very essential. Not only does the individual have to be qualified, but they have to have the right moral character, and they have to fit in with the rest of the team. They have to be a team player.
I see.
Yeah. So it's very important things that we evaluate. Things that you can't necessarily evaluate on a written test.
Right. Okay. Leads me into my next question. Let's go through a typical day as a firefighter. Is it typically you're on for 48 hours, off for 48 hours type of thing? Or?
The schedule here is on 48 hours, off 96. So on 2 days and off 4 days.
Okay.
And we have 3 shifts, so it's 2, 2, and 2.
Okay.
And then the other shift comes back on, so it's A, B, and C shift. So we're covered 24/7.
Okay.
And so they'll come in at the beginning of shift, first day, and they'll get what we call the turnover from the previous shift. Maybe some issues with the unit, or maybe they need to go get some supplies somewhere that the previous shift, off-going shift, wasn't able to do. So little information like that, things going on in the station, what's coming up today, those types of things. And then they'll check their units and their equipment to make sure everything's ready to go. And then we have our personnel go through physical training.
Oh, okay.
Because it's very important that our personnel are in shape. And we like them to do it at the beginning of the shift, because you don't have time to stretch and warm up when a call comes in. So we try to do that in the morning, get the body loosened up, limbered up, and hopefully it remains that way for the rest of the day as you're doing your daily activities. So they'll go out, they'll do that, they'll come back, get cleaned up, and then have a morning meeting to go over the day, and then they go out and they'll do a number of things: training, inspections, maintenance, all those little tidbits. Training's the big important one.
Okay.
But we attack that in different ways. Sometimes it's through a company drill. Sometimes it's through individual online training that we have a training service through.
Okay.
So those items will be taken throughout the day. Also, with us, we're a small department, so several of our personnel wear, all of our personnel wear multiple hats, but some of them are assigned special projects. And in the afternoons, typically is when they'll be provided time to work on those special projects.
Okay.
I have a firefighter who takes care of all of our respiratory equipment, all when we put the masks on and the bottle and that.
Yeah.
He takes care of all that. So
Okay.
he's been very busy lately because we're having to purchase some products for that. I have another firefighter who oversees our part-time employees, our EMTs. And so he's constantly dealing with personnel issues and staffing and scheduling and all that. So there's multiple special assignments, and in the afternoons we try to give them time to deal with those special assignments that they have.
All the while you're maybe potentially waiting for a call for
All
more
the while
serious.
responding to calls that occur throughout the day. Yes.
Okay. Now, if I'm working for 48 hours, can I sleep during this 48 hours? Am I awake that whole period?
In the evenings, you can sleep, and upstairs we have sleeping quarters.
Okay.
And that typically no one will go up there until after 8 or 9, except to take a shower.
Okay.
And change clothes. But yeah, they're able to sleep up there at night. And if calls come in the middle of the night, the lights come on and they hear the tone, and so they're able to get up and out.
You guys actually slide down the pole, or you got to run down these stairs?
Well, we do have a pole.
You do have a pole.
Back
There
over
it is.
here.
We have to get the pole later.
and
Cool.
They come down the stairs, so it's quite a long flight of stairs.
All right.
But you look down at that pole from up there, and it's a long way down.
Is that right?
So, yeah, it doesn't look that bad from here, but when you're looking down. So our personnel, rest is very important. In fire service, we're finding that fatigue is a big issue because our personnel do work 24 or 48 hours at a time and more. Guys sometimes I have to do what's called a forced hire, which means I tell someone you can't go home because we need to maintain minimum staffing, and I can't let you go because maybe we had someone out sick or injured, and so sometimes guys will work 3, 4, 5 days in a row.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that mean would never answer a fire call from our home, right? We would always have to be from the station? Or?
At a department like this, yes. In your slower departments, in the rural areas, for example, they may have a reserve fire department that's just staffed by volunteers and reserves who respond from home to the station, and then they take their apparatus. But here, we're in a large metropolitan area. We have 20,000 people in just a mile and a third. We're a busy department. We have a lot of people to protect in a small area. People literally on top of each other. So a department with this kind of activity and this kind of responsibility requires full-time career personnel.
Now, this probably goes without saying, but most firefighters probably are not allowed to drink beer or alcohol or take sleeping pills and to get a good night's sleep in case you get a call.
Exactly. Yeah. There's no alcohol consumption allowed, and not even tobacco.
Really?
Right.
Can't even smoke. Wow, interesting. Okay, where are we? Let's see. Let's talk about the hierarchy of the fire department. I think we started out as the firefighter / paramedic. If I want to get promoted, what's the next step up from there?
Well, the way we're structured is, and it's pretty typical throughout California, is, as you alluded to, firefighter, paramedic. Then we have engineers, fire engineers, and an engineer is responsible for the fire apparatus you see behind us.
Okay.
This is a specialized piece of equipment. It has a fire pump on it, has multiple tools on it throughout its compartments. So the engineer is responsible for the operation of all those, and that they work properly. So if something goes wrong with something on a call with a piece of equipment, the captain's going to go to the engineer and say, hey, what's going on with this?
Okay.
So the engineer, that's his responsibility.
I see.
And at fires, he operates the fire pump and makes sure that there's a steady water supply to the personnel at the end of the hose line. That water is all that's really protecting our people. So that job is critical, the fire engineer. Next step up for us is fire captain.
Okay.
And the captain is in charge of the entire shift on duty, including the 2 on the ambulance, and there would be 3 on the engine, including the captain. So he rides on the engine with the engineer. Engineer's the driver, and captain rides with him with the firefighter in the back. And so the captain's in charge of the entire shift. So he does a mixture of training, administrative work, and all the other mundane functions, maybe, not the most exciting things, but the captain has to oversee all that on the shift to make sure that the daily activities are getting done.
Did he actually just hop in the ambulance, or is he still in the building?
No, he's still here.
He's still here.
He'll respond on the engine.
Oh, only in the engine.
Right, he only responds on the engine.
Now, would most departments have more than one captain, or do you have?
Some stations do. They may have multiple captains. I'll call it, one will be captain 1, one will call captain 2. So you still have a hierarchy, because you have to have a hierarchy when you are in situations such as emergency incidents that require quick decision making. You can't have people saying, "Hey, I'm a captain, you're a captain, so what are we going to do?" No, there's a hierarchy, and someone's in charge and is going to make decisions, or he's going to delegate a decision to have someone make that decision for him or her.
Okay. And then the next step up would be the chief.
Then you go up to chief officers. In some departments, you'll have battalion chiefs or division chiefs, and battalion chiefs are chief officers who oversee multiple stations.
Okay.
And they deal with a lot of administrative work as well, personnel issues, and they also will take command of large incidents.
Okay.
And then you have assistant chiefs. Some departments have assistant chiefs.
Okay.
Who are typically more managers. They will respond on major incidents when needed. And then you have the fire chief. The fire chief is, as a fire chief, the way I look at it is our responsibility is to make sure that these guys have the tools that they need to do the job every day, to go out on the calls, to go do the inspections, etc. So the chief deals with the city manager and city council and other department heads. That's his job.
Okay.
Maintains the budget. Tries to make sure, again, that we have the resources we need to carry out our mission. Okay.
We had just interviewed city council not too long ago. They had mentioned they had spent, I believe it was $400,000 for one of these trucks. Is it approximately $400,000 for a truck?
That's about the going rate nowadays.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember when I started, you could get a new fire engine for, 90 to 100,000.
Okay.
And now it's, close to $500,000.
That's
fully equipped. Yes.
Wow.
Part of it is inflation. Part of it is that there's more and more requirements that come out based on the experience of accidents or other incidents that have occurred that they say, well, we should require this because these type of things can happen. So we start seeing more and more. We even see environmental requirements coming in now with our engines that really raise the price up quite a bit.
How often do the trucks get changed, or a new truck does it come in?
Well, we try to do it. We try to retire our units at 20 years.
Okay.
However, because of budget, tight budgets, we've been pushing ours back.
How old are these ones?
This one is 7 years old, and this one is 12 years old.
Okay.
And what's interesting is this one actually runs better than that one.
Is that right?
Yeah, and a big problem in our city is you don't see it here, these streets, but there's some streets that are they're single lane. And
Beach City.
So yes,
right?
So the Beach City streets, we have some very tight areas where we have, we have to get an engine that's not too big, but is big enough to carry all the equipment we have. So it's kind of a trick.
Is there a significance to the white fire engine as opposed to red here in Hermosa?
There's not, other than tradition.
Tradition. Okay.
That's the tradition of Hermosa. Is the white fire engine, and we've maintained that throughout the years.
Cool.
And there's a lot of argument what color is most noticeable. Well, if you really want to get most noticeable, it'd be like that lime green or that bright orange or something. Well, we're not gonna
Guess it
color
could
that
be
color.
worse, right?
But it's tradition mostly. Some
Okay.
go red, some go white, some are black. Chicago Fire, I believe, is black.
Wow.
Black with red stripes.
Okay. Let's talk about money for a moment. If I'm coming in as a firefighter slash, what is the firefighter? Paramedic slash the entry level, what kind of money can we expect to make ballpark first year?
Well, the biggest influence on a firefighter's salary is where he's going to work.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're working inland in the desert, you probably start off at probably about $50,000 a year or so, maybe a little more.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're in the beach city where cost of living in this area is much higher than it is in the desert, then the salary reflects that. So you can start at 80, 75, 80, 90,000.
Wow.
Plus benefits. And then because we have to have staffing at a certain level, some of our personnel are not our new people. Our new people, we don't allow them to get in on the overtime shifts, but we do it, when they're ready.
Okay.
But
So it's not a salary; it's an hourly position, or how would that work?
It's salary, but when they work overtime, we have to translate that to an hourly rate.
Ah, I see. Okay.
So they are a salary employee, but we calculate their overtime on an hourly rate.
Okay. So the next step up would be the engineer.
The engineer.
Roughly how long am I going to spend as a firefighter slash paramedic before I can jump up to engineer and get the pay raise and higher status?
Well, it depends on the department. We require, we want people to have, they can't be probationary. So within your first year, you're not going to test for anything else. You're probationary, you're focus on that. But you can see requirements of 3 to 5 years at the previous level before you can test for the next level up.
Okay.
And part of that is because it's not just a matter of knowledge, but it's a matter of experience.
Okay.
Experience is very important in this job. There's a difference between book smart and street smart. Our people have to be both. Just like there's a difference between blue collar and white collar, but we're actually both. A lot of people focus on the blue collar stuff because that's what they see on the news.
Right.
They see the guys on the roof fighting fire. They see
Big axe in his hand.
Right. That's blue collar. But when we talk about the emergency medical part of it, the medical training and the medical expertise that our personnel have, that's white collar stuff.
Okay.
Code enforcement, knowing the fire codes and the building codes and the life safety code, that's white collar kind of.
Ah.
So it's a blend.
Okay.
It's a light blue collar job, I guess. But it's something I explain to people is that it's not blue collar, it's not white collar, it's a blend. Our personnel have to do both.
Is it typically the same amount of time between 3 and 5 years to make each jump in the fire department? Up the ladder there?
You see, it depends. There's a lot of factors involved. One is what's the person's motivation? Do they want to promote? Sadly, a couple years ago, a LA County firefighter died, and he was a firefighter rank. He was days from retirement. He died at a fire. He was almost 60, and he was still a firefighter. But he was a good firefighter, and he wanted to remain a firefighter. So that's okay. Some guys may go 10, 15 years at one rank, and then all of a sudden decide they want to promote to the next level.
Okay.
But it's good to have at least 3 to 5 years at each rank, because again, that experience factor comes in, so that you're ready to move up to the next step.
Let's talk about, you had mentioned you can roughly start here in a beach city between 80 and 90,000. When I make the jump up to say engineer, can I expect maybe approximately 20% raise, or how much more money would I expect to make?
Yeah, it wouldn't be that much. It'd be about a 5%.
About 5%.
step.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You had mentioned additional benefits with like health, dental. Let's touch on the additional benefits of a fire.
Well, health insurance is a big deal. You mentioned health. And health insurance is in the news a lot because of what's going on at the federal and state levels. So our personnel are covered by health insurance. The city pays part of that, and the employee pays part of that.
Okay.
The other benefits include retirement. We have a public employee retirement system.
Beautiful.
That our personnel, the city and our personnel pay into. You have to put in at least, if you want to be able to really retire, you have to put in at least 30 years.
Wow.
In order to be able to retire and not worry too much. But and then other benefits are related to the health is vision and dental, so it's kind of all grouped in together. But those are the two main benefits: is the medical and the retirement.
Okay. Now, do you guys pay for meals if I'm staying here for the 48 hours, or is that still I bring in my own food and
That's up to the individual. They can bring in their own food. Oftentimes they will, depending on how busy the day is, they'll either go grab food from a restaurant somewhere and bring it back and eat it, or they'll go to the grocery store if they have time and make food here.
Okay, there's a stove and all those goodies up
right,
there.
Right,
Okay.
Typically what our personnel do is, because the middle of the day is very hectic and busy, they'll usually just buy lunch from somewhere.
Sure.
But dinner they try to fix, a dinner and get together. It's, go back to that teamwork. It's very important in fire service and all the shift personnel getting together and eating dinner at the table.
Yeah.
That's part of the teamwork.
Sure.
That's you have certain guys doing certain cooking. One guy cooks this, one guy cooks that, and they sit down and eat together, and it's part of the team building.
A bonding experience.
Bonding and team building. Yes.
Good deal. Let's talk about where were we? I wanted to know about getting started. If I don't know, say I'm 12 years old, my dream is to be a firefighter. How soon can I come in and possibly internship for the Hermosa Beach Fire Department? Is there an age requirement? Do I need to be an adult, 18 years old?
There are some, we don't have it at this department, but there are some departments that have some programs for those who are in high school who can do some work with the fire department as far as helping with some simple tasks. For liability reasons, they won't be responding on calls and incidents. But there are ways to start, showing your interest and getting your foot in the door. Here, what we do look for interns to assist with some of the administrative tasks that we have that need to be done. In fact, we're working with El Camino College. They have several graduates from the Fire Academy that they're looking to intern so that those graduates see the other side of the fire service.
Very cool.
They see, the Fire Academy is all that blue collar stuff. Okay, so the college wants them to see some of that white collar stuff, and so they're looking at partnering with departments like ours and bringing an intern in and have them help us with fire inspection records and code records and whatever needs we have, dealing with paperwork. So they see that side and understand, hey, yes, there's this exciting part, but on the other side, you have to do these things too. Okay. So they get the full picture of really what the fire service is about.
Is that a volunteer deal or is that a paid position?
Well, the intern is the volunteer deal.
Volunteer,
okay. And that's, that's advantageous to us because in times like these, we're looking to be responsible as we can, save as much money as we can, but get as much help as we can at the same time.
Okay. Now, to get started with the internship, would I just come here and fill out an application, or is that online as well? Or?
No, the way we do it here is now again, it could be department specific, but what we do here is that we go through another organization such as El Camino College.
Okay.
We had an intern last year from Santa Ana College, so that's how we do it. The reason we do that is they're vetted through that community college program, and so that relieves us of having to do some of that vetting to make sure that this is someone we want in our station, because they're working around with our customers, our community. So the colleges want to be good partners to us, so they make sure they send us good people.
Okay.
Some departments, your larger departments, they can do that themselves because they have the resources to do it. We don't have the resources to do that, so that's why we use the community colleges to help us with that.
Okay. Is that about a 6-month process that they come here and do that?
Our last intern was about 4 months, and our upcoming intern we're looking at bringing in would be probably through May or June. So it could be about 5 months. process, a 5-month internship.
What a great way to make yourself more marketable once you get out of the academy, to come volunteer and to show your devotion and to get started and to learn.
And again, it's just more experience. It's opening you up to more of what the job's about.
Oh, good deal, good deal. We always close with a funny story of some kind. Do you have one you'd like to share with us?
Well, I have a few. Just a real quick one. There was, I recall responding to a fire on an engine, and we got to the call, and a friend of mine who was on one of the other units, he approaches this building's, it's a house, and it's completely on fire, and it's got this short, 3.5, 4 foot fence, chain link fence, and he jumps over the fence, lands on his feet, and slips and lands right on his behind. And we're all masked up, so we've got our mask on, our helmet, our so I'm just chuckling to myself, just laughing at him, and so I get the hose and I throw it over the fence to him, and he drags it, and so I grab the fence, and I jump over the fence. I land on my feet.
No.
Same thing. I land right on my behind and sit there. Like,
how funny.
Like, see what happens when you laugh at somebody else. So,
I love
so I got up, and he didn't see me do it. I got up and I told him, I said, hey, I just did the same thing you did, so don't feel bad.
Oh, that is hilarious.
So I don't know if anyone else saw us. Nobody else mentioned it to us. It was like our little thing, not to let everybody else know, because you do something like that in the fire ground, the rest of the guys will never.
Right? Yeah, they'll never find out about this.
So that was a little funny thing. I laughed at him, and then I did the same thing.
Very cool.
Same
Very
spot.
cool. Shows how human you guys are.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's a fun job. It's a rewarding job. You get to go out and help people. There's been a lot about what firefighters are paid and their benefits and what have you, but you can't really pay someone enough to do the things that our people do. It takes something deeper, something more inside someone to want to do those things, to want to expose themselves to those things. And yeah, you can make a living off of it, but again, there's something more there that makes someone want to go through what our guys go through to provide service to our citizens.
You reminded me, I want to ask you, is there, what exactly do you love the most about becoming a fireman or being a fireman? What is the best thing about this career? Touch on that for us.
The thing that are most, I guess, most enjoyable really is when you go into a situation with somebody, with your partner, and it's a dangerous situation, and you're scared, but you're doing this together, and you accomplish it, you get it done, you get the fire out, or you get the patient out of that mangled car, or you pull someone out of a ravine, or whatever it is that you do, and you finish the job. Is that bond that you have with your teammates, with your partners.
Sure.
And that's the most enjoyable part of the job.
Okay.
Is helping people in dangerous situations, and building that bond with your teammates.
Very cool.
And doing that job.
Wow.
That's the greatest part of it. I have friends for life that I've known for years and years.
I was going to say, making lifelong friends.
We've been through situations that normally people won't see those things in their lifetime.
Wow.
But we do it on a regular basis.
Not just helping people, but saving lives. Wow. Very cool. Is there anything that's not so grand about this career?
Well, I like to tell people, people don't call us on their best day. People call us on the worst day of their life. And seeing some of the things that we see, what human beings can do to each other, has an impact on you. There is a psychological impact, and we try not to show it. And that's kind of sad. We're trying to turn that in the fire service culture to, hey, you can talk about these things. You can go talk to someone about these things, because you see some horrific things with kids, adults, young adults, older adults. See all kinds of things that aren't pleasant. The firefighters who responded in Newtown, Connecticut, to the 20 students who were killed, the first graders. I can only, I don't even want to think about what they saw when they walked in there. The police officers and firefighters.
Right.
So that's the downside, is seeing the tragedy played out in front of you and the results of it.
Wow. Thank you for taking the time, David. We appreciate your time.
Thanks for coming.
Before we close, would you like to give the young people any advice? Do you have any advice for young people before we wrap it up?
Well, other than the cliche, stay in school,
Okay.
which is, as our discussion showed, is very important.
Yeah.
Take time to figure out what you want to do, and figure out what it takes to get there. So have a plan and be willing to take the first step on the ladder. You can't jump up to the top of the ladder. You're going to have to take all those other steps as you go up the ladder to get up to the top. So you're going to have to go through schooling, training, specialized training. Could be fire academy, paramedic, those types of things. And find a mentor.
Okay.
Find a mentor and someone who could help guide you through that process.
David Lancer, the chief of the Hermosa Beach Fire Department. Thank you for taking the time out to join us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
It's Freddy Cochran signing out another edition of California Careers. Take care. Well, there you have it. How to become a firefighter. What a very cool career. I'm Freddy Cochran, your host. Thanks for tuning into this edition of California Careers. If you have any questions on this career or any other career, please visit our website at internetworktvcorp.com. Thanks for tuning in. Take care.